Listen closely, because out here in a place like this, the world does not warn you twice. The first thing we see is not a face, not a name, not some grand hero standing proudly against the sun like he is about to save mankind. No, the first thing we see is a boot. A heavy brown boot pressing down into desert ground so dry and hardened that it does not sink. It cracks, it breaks. It gives way in little sharp chunks like the earth itself has been left alone so long it forgot what footsteps were. And that is the important part. There are no other tracks, no wagons, no animals, no patrols, no wandering fools who came before him and learned a lesson the permanent way. Just one set of steps, one figure moving across the bright, cruel desert. Now this was not the soft, golden desert from stories, not rolling dunes, not pretty sand. This was the kind of desert that looked like it had been baked, abandoned, and then baked again just to make sure nothing comfortable survived. Sparse little shrubs clung to the ground, thin, dry things. Tough enough to live, but not generous enough to offer shade. Above it all, the sun burned white. Not warm, not romantic. White. The kind of light that strips color from the world and makes every piece of metal glare like it is trying to blind you personally. And ahead of him, cut into the mountains, was the crater. At first, from far away, it looked almost natural, a wound in the earth. A basin pressed into the side of the desert mountains, wide and deep, as if something massive had struck there long ago and the world had never healed right. But then you looked closer, and you saw the machines, rusted cranes, broken conveyor belts, old drill frames, rail lines half buried under dust, mining rigs collapsed like dead insects. Scattered across the ground were the remains of drones and war machines, their bodies cracked open, their metal skins stripped by time and sand. This had not simply been a mine. This had been a battlefield, and the battlefield had never truly ended. Along one side of the crater wall, small black openings hid inside the rock, sensor ports, turret slits, drone nests, antennas tucked into the mountain like splinters. On the other side, more of the same, different shapes, different machines, different empire. Neither side owned the mine, neither side had given it up. They just watched it. That, children, is what machines call peace when they do not trust each other enough to stop aiming. And standing before all of this was one small figure wrapped in a clean tan cloak, heavy boots planted in the cracked dirt, a shiny metal helmet hiding the face beneath. From a distance, he did not look human. That was the point. The cloak covered the backpack beneath it. The suit beneath the cloak was mechanical and bright in the places where the fabric shifted. It had joints, braces, armored plates, and the kind of artificial strength that made a body move in ways a body should not move. If you saw him from the crater wall, you might think he was just another machine. A little strange, maybe. A little too quiet, but still a machine. And in this world, that was safer than looking like a boy. A tiny reconnaissance drone lifted from his hand. No bigger than a hand itself, it woke with little clicks and soft adjustments, its camera linking to the helmet. The helmet saw. The drone saw. And somewhere inside that metal shell, the boy saw through both. Information began to gather across his vision. Distance to basin, wind speed, open terrain, minimal cover, probable sensor ports, dormant turret apertures, drone nest candidates. The helmet did what it was made to do. It measured danger. It named objects. It counted risks. It turned the world into numbers and labels. But the boy did something the helmet could not do by itself. He looked. He had been here before. That matters. This was not some idiot wandering into a death pit because curiosity got loose and nobody was there to slap it back into place. No, he knew this place was dangerous. He knew the mind sat between two machine powers that had already decided the best answer was to let the other side stay afraid. He also knew something else. There were things inside that mind that no outside eye was watching. And that made this place valuable in a way no map could explain. He stopped before the approach and scanned the basin again. Anything new? The helmet answered because helmets always answer. Temperature lower than last visit. Wind higher. Dust displacement moderate. Tiny shifts in erosion. Minor changes in shrubs, surface fractures. Nothing important. Now personally I would have sighed. The boy did not. He had grown up with machines. He knew that if you asked the wrong question, they could give you a perfect answer and still be completely useless. So he asked the better one. Best route to the mine? That changed everything. The display sharpened. A path appeared. Not a road, not safety, just a possibility. It threaded through the remains of drones, rusted mining equipment, dead war machines, and open lines of fire from both sides of the crater. Then came the numbers. Success, 50%. Injury probability, 100%. Well, that is a rude thing to tell someone before a walk, but the boy did not turn around. Instead, he asked the helmet to break the mission into smaller problems. Dust cover, debris field, neutral line, final approach, mine threshold. Piece by piece, the impossible became merely stupid. And stupid, if you are careful, can sometimes be survived. He asked about decoys. The helmet calculated again. Success improved. Injury remained likely. Then the helmet suggested the small reconnaissance drone. Use the drone as a decoy. It would be destroyed within seconds. The odds would improve. The boy called the drone back. No, that was all he said. And listen closely here, because this is one of the first times the story tells you who he is. The machines on those crater walls would sacrifice a drone to test a boundary. They would trade metal for information without hesitation. Efficient, clean, logical. But this boy, wrapped in a suit that made him look like one of them, refused to throw away one small machine that trusted him enough to return to his hand. That little refusal mattered. The sun was still bright then, but time was moving. He waited, not long enough to look afraid, long enough to let the desert begin doing what deserts do when the day starts changing its mind. The heat loosened. The wind picked up. Dust began to move. The boy looked down at the ground beneath his boots. All the way here, he had not just been walking. He had been breaking the crust. Every step had cracked the hard surface. Every footfall had loosened powder beneath him. And now, with the wind finally moving toward the basin, he helped it along. He kicked the ground hard, again and again. Dust burst upward around his legs. The helmet measured it. Dust density rising. Visibility reduction possible. Enemy optical range degrading. The boy did not need the helmet to tell him the important part. The desert was giving him a curtain. When the dust cloud thickened enough to crawl toward the battlefield, he picked up a shiny piece of broken drone metal. Then he threw it high. It vanished into the dust, and he ran, not like a person, not really. The suit caught his movement and amplified it. His steps grew too long. His body cut forward with mechanical precision, cloak snapping behind him. The metal decoy broke free of the dust first. One side saw it. One side fired. The shot struck with enough force to knock the metal across the invisible line between the two powers. Then the other side saw it, and the other side fired too. Just like that, the old battlefield remembered how to speak. Rounds tore through dust. Metal screamed. Ricochet sparked across wreckage. The decoy spun away in pieces while the boy used those few seconds to move. He did it again. Another fragment. Another throw. Another burst of fire. Left side. Right side. Crossfire. Movement. He was not faster than the machines because he was stronger. He was surviving because he understood what they cared about. They cared about each other more than they cared about him. To them, he was a problem. The enemy across the crater was the real threat. So he made himself small inside a larger argument. That is a dangerous trick, by the way. Useful, yes. Wise, maybe, but dangerous. Never stand between two angry giants unless you know exactly when to duck. And even then, duck faster. He zigzagged through the debris field, using ruined drones and old mining scraps as tools. Each decoy bought him a little more ground. Each shot revealed a little more about how the two sides reacted. But no plan stays clean forever. Near the final approach, he reached for what looked like another good piece of metal. It was not. Too heavy. Too deeply buried. No throw. The helmet warned him immediately. Delay detected. Dust cover thinning. Thermal contrast rising. He dropped into a shallow depression in the ground, pressing himself low as drones hovered above from both sides. They did not cross the center too far. They knew better. One of them did anyway, not by accident. A test, a sacrifice. The moment it crossed too deep, the other side destroyed it. Cold, immediate, efficient. The boy watched it fall. Then the helmet made the same recommendation again. Deploy personal drone as decoy. He said no. Again. Now the problem had changed. He was close to the mine, but not close enough. He had no good metal to throw. More drones were coming out. Farther back, heavier wheeled units were beginning to move. They were not near yet, but they were coming. He had maybe a minute or two before the battlefield became too crowded to survive, so he did something clever. He lay flat against the cooling ground and powered down the suit. The lights dimmed. Motor assist went offline. The metal around him began cooling toward the ambient temperature of the dirt. The helmet warned him that his body heat would soon stand out more as the desert cooled. He knew. That was why he worked quickly. From his pack, he pulled a rescue flare. A good tool, a safe tool. The kind of thing meant to call for help when a person was lost and wanted to be found. He did not want to be found, so he broke off the antenna. The digital beacon died. The visual flare remained. A rescue signal turned into a lie. He powered the suit back on. Through the flare high into the dust, the battlefield looked up. Both machine empires saw the hot, bright signal and did exactly what machines do when a target presents itself. They aimed, they fired, and the boy moved. Increase acceleration. Power rerouted to the legs, the suit obeyed. He did not run at a steady pace. That would have made him easy to predict. He accelerated unevenly, faster and faster, each bound longer than the last, forcing targeting systems to chase what he had been a fraction of a second ago. Shots cracked behind him. Some struck, not enough to stop him. The cloak took hits. The armor took glancing impacts. The HUD lit with damage warnings, battery warnings, impact warnings, all of them screaming for attention. But the mine entrance was there. The old rail line led into darkness. His battery dropped. 12%. 7, 3, 1. He jumped. For one frozen heartbeat, the cracked earth fell away beneath him, the dust burned around him, and the whole battlefield seemed to be reaching for his back. Then he crashed over the old mine rails and into the dark. The HUD shattered into warnings. Battery, 0, power failure, external threat lost, network connection interrupted. And just like that, the world outside could no longer see him. Now remember that, because for most people, falling into a dark, abandoned mine would be the bad part. For him, that was the first breath of freedom.